Welcome to the USA Discussion Group, where topics are always changing for a discussion. If you are experiencing any types of mental health issues or mental illnesses, please stop watching this video and call 911 for help. In this video you will learn the different symptoms of senses disorders, mental health, and mental illness. Mental health defines the habitual practice that is found in a person's feelings, describes one's behaviors, or one's social relationships.
Feelings are one of the five senses, such as vision, hearing, smell, taste, or touch.
Mental illness affects the five senses. Oftentimes vision is affected due to the use of medications. Because medication has side effects that can affect your vision. Hearing affects that perceive sounds. Perceiving sounds are becoming aware of something or someone. Perceiving sounds define the understanding of somebody or something as to interpret something to be either right or wrong. A smell disorder is an olfactory hallucination called phantasmic smells according to Mayo Clinic. People with disorder smells are the only people who smell these odors, which these smells are not smelled by others according to Merck Manual.
Next, both smell and taste disorder have the same reaction among people, defining the normal taste buds, been different from that of the disorder taste buds.
Defining the smell and taste disorders reported that these what defines the disorders, such as anosmia defines not able to smell, the agusia defines not able to taste. However, the hyposmia defines limiting the ability to smell. On the other hand, hypojugia limit the ability to taste things, such as sweet, sour, bitter or salty foods according to Johns Hopkins website. Then, the touch disorder defines either a sensitivity or hypersensitivity behavior defining the way one's feel by touch according to an online article by Searle. Sensitivity or hypersensitivity defines when touching something or someone a person becomes peculiar, noxious or experience pain, according to an online article by Searle. The five senses are extremely important. Because senses help people to make decisions and make choices that may affect the outcome of your life. Next, it is believed that there is a difference between poor mental health and mental illness. For example, mental health consists of working long hours, caring for a relative, rejections, and economic hardship which lead to poor mental health. For example, mental health consists of working long hours, caring for a relative, rejections, and economic hardship which lead to poor mental health. According to CDC, mental illness is contributed by early adverse life experience, such as trauma, false accusations, a history of abuse, for example, child abuse, sexual assault, or witnessing violence. It may be occurred from chronic medical conditions, such as cancer or diabetes, or high blood pressure. Other factors of mental illnesses are biological factors or chemical imbalance in the brain, the use of alcohol or drugs, or having the feeling of loneliness or isolation. In addition, other contributions of mental illness or physical, mental, and social well-being. According to Erica Martin Richards, MD, PhD, women suffer an episode of major depression more than men, and compared to Caucasian women, African American women are only half as likely to seek help. The observation and witness of one African American woman when she had witnessed an observation her life story. She tells of her life experience, how her life experience became a life failure due to her senses, mental health, and mental illness. according to a statistic that was taken on what caused the African American to have a life experience of life failure was her internal environment.
When you believe in Christ, He is able to cast down all your imaginations and everything that seems higher than what you are, and those things that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
Statistics show that an African American woman had experienced 55% of her life was impacted by her internal environment. We had subtracted the amount of the internal environment from 77% life expectation. We discovered that 22% of her life was affected by the internal environment. Reporting problems that contribute to the cause and effect of life expectation was based on the statistics in this video. The African American woman felt impacted by her internal environment. This is usually the case because the internal environment is the environment that is closer to her than the external environment. Her internal environment had impacted her daily life activities. She was not able to function her life fully because of her internal environment. Like most African Americans, having no one to turn to, she had sink in her problems. Because of the weight and force of her internal environment was larger than her ability to endure the pains, she had experienced lots of misfortune. Not only did the woman rejected by her internal environment, she also was rejected by a group of society that makes biased information about her based on her race, income and lifestyle. Biased information spread that had characterized who she was. Trapped in a biased society, she felt like as she was forced into dark closet all alone without family and friends. She was shameful for who she was, and afraid of any social life with anyone. The people who were part of her internal environment did not know the difference between mental health and mental illness, or the cause and effects from situation problems, diseases, in her senses. She had mental health problems most of her life due to situation problems. Since she had a family that did not understand mental health problems due to situation problems, they became biased about her health. The family decided to entrap the woman in the hospital against her while causing her to have mental illness. Yes, it is true that mental health problems can turn to mental illness depend on what is going on. She felt hopeless by the weight of the force that impacted the sink in reverse matter to ever rise to life again. Her external environment had impacted her life because the lack of maintaining employment and experiencing situation problems.
The statistics also show that the African American woman had experienced a time in her life that had distinct her from having any kind of social relationship due to circumstances.
There is no evidence where it points to a specific type of health problems, concerning her senses disordered, mental health, or mental illness. The reason why is that there was never a study on African Americans and mental health. Her untreated health conditions were related to poor mental health, which she was forced to transform to mental illness. She lived in an environment where there were not much medical or mental health resources. She was diagnosed with poor mental health problems that affected her work performance. She often worked long hours between work and school. And she had experienced rejections by her internal and external family. In addition, she had experienced over and over economic hardship. All these led to poor mental health problems. Often the African American woman had felt rejections and witnessed a troubled internal environment. Affecting the behavior of the innocents, it was impossible to have a behave in a relationship accepted by society when a person is experiencing when the world is turning upside down caused by the internal environment or external environment. The internal environment had involved alcoholics, which become an adversary. The external environment was surrounded by drug abusers, which become an adversary. Escaping internal and external environment causing an adversary to the innocent is impossible because of the lack of resources. In the urban environment, peer pressure is twice as hard than the suburban, rural, or country living. Today, any environment is a threat to the life of humans, concerning mental health, mental illness, or senses disorders. However, the sad thing about the African American woman, she was not able to pursue a career after she had completed college after becoming a standby victim. Becoming a standby victim, she was affected by the internal and external environment behaviors and social relationship. She also had observed others who experienced the same mental health and mental illness coming from the African American community. The problem with the African American community is that they lack resources. Resources that help humans to meet their basic needs, such as physical and mental health, education and housing resources, employment and small business opportunities, and mentoring services. The African American woman was moved out of her neighborhood because her character was assassinated. And she had experienced that many people who were jealous of her type of employments. Moreover, she had to adopt an external environment that she was not familiar with, but she had to become familiar with adapting human knowledge. Becoming adapted to human knowledge became easy to her because she is a Christian who taught her about human behavior and relationship, and how she should respond to negative behaviors and social interactions in the world. However, maintaining the integrity, ethics, and principles of she had to live an example of her Christian life around her internal and external environment. She was blasphemed because of her belief by an unbelieving society. She lived a life of shock by unrighteous incidents that became events in her life. She was not forced to practice Christianity or attend church. Her family was not Christians. She read her Bible daily. After reading the Bible a few times, she decided to become a Christian. Then, she started her Christian life. On the other hand, what she had observed that many African Americans in her community had repeated a mental health roller coaster cycle. It seems impossible for African Americans to break the mental health roller coaster cycle, which is a series of events that keep them experiencing steep subconscious that repeat past events. To a person who is impacted by psychological roller coaster cycles, continue to feel that they are doing something positive when it is a negative impact on the behaviors and social relationship. From the negative impact that control the minds of humans, they feel excited having fun on the psychological roller cycles without any way out. The mind had developed in this type of nature of behaviors and social relationships. The major concern in the mental health or mental illness roller coaster cycle is that the mind of which one is not fully aware, but which influences one's actions and feelings, need to be identified for correction, starting with senses psychology. According to CDC, mental illness is contributed by early adverse life experience, such as trauma, false accusations, a history of abuse, for example, child abuse, sexual assault, or witnessing violence. It may be occurred from chronic medical conditions, such as cancer or diabetes, or high blood pressure, according to CDC. Also reported by the CDC, other factors of mental illnesses are biological factors or chemical imbalance in the brain, the use of alcohol or drugs, or having the feeling of loneliness or isolation. In addition, the CDC reported that other contributions of mental illness or physical, mental, and social well-being.